Good evening, everyone. Greetings to all. This is another episode of Let's Talk About It, and it is Tuesday. I am Master Key, and this is
King Zoe, how we doing?
all right, and we are back at it again for another subject, another week, another topic. In this week's current events, the Jacksonville Jaguars signed or anticipate signing the man we know as Tim Tebow, a college legend, arguably. But he's been out of the league for at least 5 to 9 years. Many people are saying that it is due to privilege and not rights, and it is unfair to many NFL athletes or former NFL athletes that still want chances but are not afforded them. So tonight we want to first discuss what we believe privilege is, or what the people may believe privilege is. Feel free to chime in at the bottom. And we also want to discuss this situation and solutions going forward. King Zoe, is there anything you'd like to lead with this Tim Tebow situation?
I want to say yes, I do feel that this is privilege. This is definitely Caucasian privilege. You don't even have to call it that one. Caucasian privilege. Um, I've never seen a case where someone was able to leave a job, not work there, don't do anything in the field, don't have any good like the resume that he has literally does not give him anything that supports him having the career that he's about to get. My biggest issue isn't even the players that are in the league. What about the ones that are just coming in? He's taking someone's spot. He's eating people's food who haven't even made it yet.
Mm.
Those are my feels. That's
Can
how
you
I feel
explain
about
that
that.
thought process a little bit? What do you mean by that? If it's a every man for themselves game and the draft just ended, and most people will argue that, hey, if you didn't get picked by now, you won't get picked anyway. Tim Tebow shouldn't affect your lifestyle. What would you say to that? That may be an
hmm
unfair point to someone. Unreasonable.
There were tight. He's getting signed to be a tight end. There were tight ends in the draft who actually played
Hmm.
that position. These were children who they were children at one point. They fought hard to go from being children to they did the same thing he did. They worked their way all the way up. They might not have gotten drafted, but they played the actual position that
Hmm.
he's about to get. This man has literally never played the position. He has no this is like going to a surgeon for your heart, and like he's never done it before. Like he's never touched he knows about it because he looked at it, he's witnessed it, but like he's never done it before. He's never blocked, like not in that capacity, ran routes for real.
So,
And they're
so your
gonna
argument.
he's getting paid. He's yes, I'm happy that he's getting a check. Awesome. But how?
Some will argue that Tim Tebow is the GOAT. You're a Florida Gators fan, aren't
Of
you?
what?
Of
I am.
like in
I'm a Gator
football
fan.
history. So
Vehemently.
you watched him at
hmm
his prime. Some people believe that his prime
Yeah.
performances are enough to hold stake in the grown man's game that he failed at. Let us remember how he played for the
hmm
Jets and they left him at the airport. They said, "Oh, not
They
today."
left him. They got on the jet.
They said
They
no.
jetted.
It said it can't fly here. You can't. They Forrest
The
Gump me.
Broncos
You can't
balked.
play here.
You can't.
You
You
can't
can't
sit
sit here.
here.
You can't sit here.
All of a
The Jets
sudden,
booed it.
he
The
on the
Pats patted that
he had
ass.
a
Well, and I guess more of my issue with this is at the time where he was able, they said they wanted him to switch to a different position. So he was given this opportunity while he was still physically in his prime, and he was already afforded this. This is what I mean by the privilege. It's one thing when he had worked his way through, he was playing in the league, and they said, "Look, man, we have a position for you. It's tight end. Might not be what you want, but it'll keep you here." He said no. He said no. He said, "Fuck it." Went and worked for ESPN, became a sports analyst, and then like just because somebody he knows got a job, he's like, you know what? Let me. He's a legend like that. He's just gonna be the guy who sits. What's he gonna be? The chaplain?
So, so you think it's a game of politics and not actually? Is it? It's about politics and not actually like the actual performance metrics.
Well, it's sad when you can see the politics through it. Like I think that there's always politics somewhere in everything that we end up doing somehow, way or another, no matter how grand or small it is. But at the
What
same
would you?
time, you have these. What?
Go ahead. At the
Right?
same time,
At the same time, it's a different story when it's so blatant that you can truly see it in front of you. It's like it's the scale is just tipped in one person's favor. That's when it becomes like, mm.
what would you say to the argument like that Jacksonville Jaguars fans made? Like, hey, Tim Tebow is that man. Y'all tripping. Like this is y'all just don't know.
To anyone who says that Tim Tebow is their people, go back and date whoever you were dating the year that the last year that he was playing as a starting quarterback. That's what I would tell whoever that is. Go back, find out whoever that girl is, whoever that guy is, whatever was going on. Stop what you're doing now. Go back and start doing
Hmm.
whatever you were doing 6 to 9 years ago. Just go back and start doing that. Because if you're okay with Tim Tebow being your tight end because of what he been did, go back to what you've been doing too. Like, don't know what
All
it
right.
was. Just go back.
So, with that being said, what exactly is privilege? If you had to define it outside of this situation, what exactly is privilege?
Well, in this case, it's not so. I'm not truly upset with the fact that he
You know
got
what
the
I'm saying?
opportunity. It does.
Outside of the situation, what is privilege?
What privilege is being able to walk in a certain grace that you don't deserve. You didn't
Who's
do anything to earn what's given.
what are the metrics?
Privilege isn't based on metrics. That's kind of the thing. Privilege is based off of the who you know, who knows
Okay.
you, how people feel about you. That's what gets you. That's what gets you that one.
So it ain't about what you done or
Mm-mm.
it ain't about what you done and how good you are. It's
You
about
could
who you
be
know.
you could be praying on ESPN, and next thing you know, you playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You pray for that position. You're a prayer warrior. That's your position on the Jaguars team.
Yeah, yeah, he gonna be going out on the
PW.
halftime praying with the cheerleaders.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. He manifested that. That's good science. Yeah. So, I mean, you spoke on privilege. Uh, people disagreeing on what or the privilege in different social and professional structures, and the fact that privilege affects a lot of lives directly and indirectly. I would ask you, what will be your solution, if any, to what you believe privilege to be?
I don't think privilege is about taking the privilege that someone else has. It's great that that worked out for him. Like it's wonderful that that his old coach messed around and became an NFL coach, and then he was able to transition to that because it was an opportunity that was open. So that's good for him. If you don't take someone else's privilege away, you gain something so that you can give someone else privilege. So it's sad, but we gotta somehow manage ownership. We have to maintain. And
That's your solution?
I'm sorry.
You said that's your solution? Maintain ownership and establish ownership and then maintain it?
Yeah, so that you can provide your
Or,
once you have ownership, then you can provide your own grace to whoever you want to. You then become the person to give it because you can give away
how,
what you own.
how would one that never had anything get ownership? Like, how does that happen? What if somebody like, well, I never had no own something? Like, that might sound crazy to somebody.
Say, hey, no matter how small it is, ownership starts at something small. Like it starts with owning a little bit of money in your pocket, and then being able to hold on to it. Then owning what money can buy you, and being able to hold on to it. Making sure that you're owning assets, not liabilities. And like once you got something like that, you keep leveraging it until you get bigger and larger things. But shoot, if we as a people, if it was a black owner and you had a black head coach, and of course they knew people who they had been around and needed opportunities, then next thing you know, you start getting different type of privileges out there. In the same way that hey, a Chinese person come over from over there and they want to get a job with somebody that they know in a Chinese food restaurant. If they already know them, then they got a job. It's
Hmm.
it's it's simple as community.
Hmm. I have two questions
Hmm.
or 2 points. One will argue that a certain group of people will be hypocrites because when it comes to, let's say, something like youth football, privilege or football in general in certain communities, privilege is the reason why so many lives of young men are, I wouldn't say robbed of opportunity, but shortchanged of the ability to get an opportunity on the next level. What I mean by that is from the youth football level up into high school, there is a trade, there's a money system, even if it's not documented, and it's not me trying to snitch, but some form of fashion, people invest in just children and their coaches and sometimes referees for whatever reasons at those levels. Some may say that's the same form of privilege that people argue against, and it's not fair to the people who do get better privilege in higher places because maybe it just don't benefit you on that level. But somebody gets privilege. Everybody gets privilege somewhere, some way, shape, or form. That may be
Well,
somebody's argument.
that's why I'm saying like I don't think that the thought isn't get rid of privilege. For me, the thought is own something so that if I had a team, I'm pretty sure the people who I know are good at certain things, they will get jobs.
Hmm. Hmm.
Privilege. But it's just that's where other arguments come in where you say, all right, we didn't have nothing the other things that you were speaking of, but like at some point, shit, own what you can. Like if you could just own
Yeah.
own what you like, niggas getting kicked out the hood and shit because they just don't own their house. Gentrification is coming, and you didn't own what you can. Just own what you can own.
Hey, they told me to tell y'all to stop selling y'all grandma's houses. By the way, that's just a PSA out there.
Yeah, keep
Another
y'all
point I
grandma
wanted to
houses.
make. Another point I
Make
wanted
your
to
grandmas
make.
happy.
Uh, they said that. Well, I don't know if I read this or just heard this somewhere or both. But there were a group of men that were thinking about starting their own like minority professional football league. Um, I believe that, I mean, 100 years ago, the NFL was established with a simple business model. It's expanded to this where we celebrate Super Bowls yearly and make it a part of our culture. But it did just start with a business plan and a business model. and people willing to fill those roles on an annual level after a certain amount of practice or whatever. My point is, I mean, is there a possibility for I wouldn't even want to say a new NFL, but a separate entity with more opportunity for those people who might feel a way about the Tebow situation. Like, bro, I'm right here. Like, I could play quarterback and receiver, and my stats better than this, and I was in the league for this amount of years. Tebow ain't even. Some people might hold that as a standard. What about instead of just crying about it, all of those people? I know the XFL exists, but that's not obviously a sufficient business model. They let the players and people with money come together and establish their own. And over time, in these places where there aren't football teams, that's a good place to establish them. And then in the middle of places that need more, like Alabama could use a pro team, with all that money funneled from Mississippi, all them southern teams could use a some form of a pro team. That would be a great business model, I think.
I for that, I think is unification. There are plenty of um, leagues under the NFL. If you just get people to come together and back it, then it works. Like
Yeah,
cryptocurrency, like the more people that's in it, yeah, of course it becomes a standard. And even if it's so big that you could, it buys out the NFL type of thing to
yeah,
do something, but it has to be everybody can't have a league. Like it can't be three
yeah.
different
That's
leagues
true.
in Florida.
That's
For the
true.
NFL, it's just
Well,
one.
I got you. Well, I was gonna say you. I don't know if you read. It was I read this article about Percy Miller. He got a son named Hersey Miller, and he's gonna go to like I think Tennessee State University. But he's gonna be one of the first college. He's gonna be the first HBCU player with like a multi-million-dollar deal in college because they allowed to start getting the rights to their likeness and image. And he's also gonna
Mhm.
study chemical engineering, right? I think that's a great business model, but that's just for college or whatever. I was gonna say they could just have a pipeline for HBCU students like that to go to whatever that league may be. Hersey Miller only plays basketball, but I'm just saying that's a model. It's something that could be done for them.
Well, that actually does sound good. Just to have a place for them to go to exhibit their talents,
Yeah.
but then again, it's just being able to create a, create enough teams in enough separate places. So like how the NFL has three teams in Florida, one
Mhm.
team in Georgia, the team that
Mhm.
you got in South Carolina. Then like
Mhm.
it's spread around, and it has
Mhm.
to have a shield for it. So it has once you have that, you just got this is where people go, and it can compete. I don't see why it couldn't compete. They have a lot of. It's just too much out there. You see so many people with different leagues, 7-on-7 this, and then it's too. Is if you could just if it could be an exclusive thing to where they move like that, and if they want to go to the NFL, that's another option for them. But like how there's the NCAA tournament, and then then you got the other tournament that's going the NC whatever the hell else tournament that be going on at the same time. That when you're done watching NCAA, you kind of flip over to that one real quick. I don't see why this can't be the same thing.
Mm.
All right,
I
but
understand.
yeah, you just give them an option like. A lot of kids they don't be done when they come out of college, but they are able. And it's just sad that and even for the player that came back from the Cowboys, and I don't know if he's planning to get this year, but it was like he pretty much he did great for like five games, and then he kind of fizzled out. And they keep bringing him up when they talk about Tim Tebow. It's just opportunities are thin. Like there's only so many spots on the team. There's only so many teams. There's only so much that go around. And when we're coming back and we're having conversations about how privilege plays into something, that's where there's the issue. Like if it's only so many spots and because the coach he get in, then we need to start becoming the coaches in these senses. And if that like that model that you're talking about is able to start adding ownership to
Yeah,
people who never had ownership, so that if nothing else, all you can do is say, all right, look, man, I can still perform. And then
yeah,
it don't have to be no crazy money. If they were able to make 40,000 and have benefits, like that's the same thing they'll make anyway. Like, but you got to put yourself up. Like the thing about NFL, they are overpaid for a children's game.
mm,
Like as much as I love playing football, I love all that. They're getting paid millions of dollars to play a child's game.
mm. Oh man, you gonna hurt some hearts with that one. I'm gonna back up now. All
I
right,
played it.
so I would like to say, speaking of NFL, NFL legend Deion Sanders is now a HBCU football coach. Shameless plug. Hey, FAMU and Jackson State will be going head to head in Miami Gardens at the Hard Rock Stadium September this year. Y'all make sure y'all beat me there. Don't meet me there. Anyway, Deion Sanders had conflict or a thought process about the last draft. He said no HBCU players were picked, but I know that they got the talent. So I'm saying, well, Dion, people like him, they can come together with people like Michael Vick, like people like the stakeholders with, who are Puff Daddy, whoever wanted to own an NFL team and start a business model. That's all.
Well, I think
That's
it's
my
I think it's
solution.
great that him and I forgot for the thing is
Oh
Eddie
Lord,
George.
that is.
I think it was Eddie George, one of the other ones who went over to the HBCUs so that they could, help out with what they got going on. Like it's just hearing about the history and how they used to always come to the HBCUs to go to the NFL, and now it's like
Yeah, Michael Strahan.
you can't get
So
a
many
five star
legends
you
came out
you
of
can't get five
HBCUs.
you
Bullet
can't get a
Bob.
5 star recruit to go there.
Mm.
Like it's hard to get them to go there. So what?
Well, you
How
have
do you
like
do
you have some people like I said, Masterpiece son going to a HBCU starting like
that?
the wave. You have one of Shaq's sons going to a HBCU to play ball, starting the wave. Like, this is what's up and coming. So maybe that ripple off and like more people start going to HBCUs because they don't have to. They're not dependent upon money. They're going because that's what they're choosing. That's a big statement because their parents can afford whatever school they wanted to go to. They don't need a scholarship.
Mm, that's true.
So I think that that's a solution in itself that we're watching, but we're not acknowledging as well. And I think that's what this discussion is about. Our own
Well,
privilege. Create our own privilege.
how do you feel about Tim Tebow's shot at the NFL after 5 years of
I
working
try to
as
remain
a
respectful
commentator?
on camera. Huh?
Oh, I was just go ahead, please.
About him working as a commentator.
Oh, that's what he was doing before he got his new contract. I'm sorry.
I mean, he was a voice. He was a voice that was just there, like a lot of those commentators, like a lot of those, especially the older guys. We actually just now starting to see like people who actually play the game actually being able to talk about it on a grand scale. What you had before, a bunch of people like boomer, like
They
wait,
did play, but they played
like,
way before we would remember.
or no, like I'm saying not him, but I'm just saying it's certain people like you didn't play like Max on Sports Center.
Oh, Kel,
Where
but he
did he
been
play?
commentate. He commentated boxing for a
That
long time. He's a
my
boxing specialist.
so I don't care. My point
I
is
get it. I get
you
it. You
got
don't know nothing
people
about
like
basketball. I got
that
you.
sit in seats like that anyway. So what's the difference? I mean, it's just a part of the role. It's about who
Well,
you know. Uh,
I was speaking more about like how do you feel about Tim Tebow getting his shot with the NFL after he's been just doing commentating for 5 years?
Well, like I said, he talked about it, so That's their way to say like, oh yeah, well he's been active in the game. It kept him familiar in the game because familiarity breeds acceptance. So it's like, yeah, we rocking with Tebow, and he's already a good, clean guy. So you can't really hate on him. You can't really go dig up dirt and be like, well, he did this. Like, so that's what they can stand on. Like, and not that a lot of other guys can. I'm just saying that they can stand on that too. So it makes it a extra yes. Like at the end of the day, what I feel about it, it's just politics. Simply, like it's politics. Like it's nothing to feel about it. It's just a acceptance thing. It's like it's funny. Like everybody knows Tim Tebow. So if you can't, like Mark Sanchez was better for the Jets than Tim Tebow. Do y'all remember the
Well,
butt fumble? Like it's nothing to really ask about. It's just politics.
so are you okay with him having that job over someone um who's coming out of college?
It doesn't matter if I'm okay with it. That's my thing, cause it's happening. It's like
So
we always, my whole thing, we always
what?
want to feel a way about things, but you never want to do nothing.
No,
I just said what we
I get the
can.
dude,
I just said what we
I'm
can
trying to
do.
incite. I'm talking about the inciting part. Like so with the fact that this gentleman now has a job over other people having a job, I know that it
Hmm.
infuriates me on a level, even though I do have to be okay with it. Does it stir any emotion for you, or is it just a simple fact that there's no point in feeling any kind of ways?
It's hilarious.
Oh, so it gives you a giggle, you say.
Yeah, it's like this is so funny. It's
Hmm.
that easy. It's easy. It's
Okay.
so easy. Tim Tebow can do it.
That's what I'm gonna whisper in that tight end who just got told he's not gonna get the
that's a
position. I'm gonna whisper
that's
it
a
in his.
good
I'm like, hey, bro.
commercial.
I'm like, hey, bro. It was supposed to be so easy. Tim Tebow could do
It's
it.
so easy. Tim Tebow can do it.
Hmm. Well, I
But
I
I
don't
mean,
I don't see for me what I just don't see how we can continue moving on and just not have our own portions of ownership. That way we don't have to keep falling in this trap. Things were so much better. Like I know there's a big bad, connotation on kind. I don't know. I think I said it right on when there was immigration and how we were separated. But when we had our
immigrant,
immigration, damn,
integration.
segregation. I'm just on my gations. I'm thinking about the mother folk that's struggling. Shout out to all them people in cages that need to get freed. No Biden. But when things were segregated, it was like black people had to actually care about black people's stuff. Like just the fact that we spent so much time wanting somebody else, like we want to be a part of their stuff. Like we don't have to have their shit. They could have their shit. We could have our shit. Like not saying that we can't commingle because
Yeah.
once we have our shit, then they have to come to our stuff to buy our stuff, and then we get their money out of their neighborhoods and our neighborhoods. That's how
Someone
that's how
stated.
you build wealth.
Someone stated. In my opinion, his name is Mike D. Gilmore. In my opinion, I believe when it comes to Tebow, it's white privilege, but not from a racist standpoint, but a matter of a person of his stature to continue to collect a check off of what he loves, football.
I don't think it's racist either. At some point, you're right. He's just getting paid just because of who he knew. It would be nice for me to get paid to just come and hang out with the team and pray.
Well,
I want to go
shoot,
do
you
that.
need to know some new people. Then it ain't his fault. You don't know nobody.
Oh, I thought he did it because he prayed good.
Yeah, you might need to pray harder. Hey
I ain't prayed
man,
hard enough.
this has been an amazing discussion. King Zo, would you have any final thoughts, any final words?
Jacksonville Jaguars did nothing wrong. Tebow did nothing wrong. Urban didn't do nothing wrong. Nobody did nothing wrong. They just own shit. Can we own shit so that we can give each other shit, give each other opportunities, give each other privilege? That don't mean that you give somebody something because Tebow gonna have to get out there and he gonna have to pray hard for that check. He gonna have to go out there every time out. He's gonna have to hold everybody's hand and talk them through how they gonna go through the game. He's gonna have to give massages to everybody on the bench who need. He's gonna be an extra trainer. He's just gonna have equipment on. He's gonna be a super water boy. He's gonna he's like if Urban Meyer gotta write something down, Tim Tebow is gonna turn around so that Urban Meyer can write it on his back. That's who Tim Tebow is gonna be for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I personally am happy that he's gonna get paid the 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 minimum, at least for that, because if somebody had an opportunity for me to go out there and pray for their team every time out, please offer that to me. My final words.
Okay. All right. Well, cheers to ownership. Cheers to solutions instead of disagreements with already created systems. Cheers to camaraderie. Cheers to just establishing something new. I believe that that's what privilege is and should be going forward. Create your own privilege, create your own world, and all that you do. And it's less of a problem and more of a privilege. We appreciate y'all checking in, tuning in tonight for this discussion. We will be back another time, another hour for another Let's Talk About It. Y'all have a great night. Feel free to share, like this page. Let's Talk About It with Master Key and King Zo. If you have any questions, email us, inbox us, any topics. If you'd like to be featured on the show for a topic, let us know. In the meantime, have a great day, and always remember, right now pro, writing solutions, any business ideas that you may need, proposals, contracts, grants, anything of that nature, non-disclosure agreements for confidentiality in business, please contact me for your writing needs. And yeah, have a great night. Peace.